Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths Subscriber Craft Review. And we have a special day today. We have a twofer because there's two very contrasting vehicles we have today. Both of them are tanks, which I have very little experience with. And because I don't have a lot of experience with tanks and land vehicles in general, there's not a tremendous amount I have to say about either of them, so we're doing a 2-in-1. Now, on the left here we have the Leviathan by Benzo 7, and on the right here we have the LAH-5 Unkures light tank by Warlock Hero 234, known on Steam as just Warhammer. And these are quite... It's an interesting contrast between these two because, well, just look at them. One's tiny, the other isn't. But we're going to start off our review with the Leviathan, so Unkures can go away for a second. Don't worry, he's fine, he'll be back. So, the Leviathan. First off, very big tank, very red alert, as you could probably guess by my choice of music in the intro. And what is there to say about the pros? Well, we'll start with pros and cons as usual. So, pros, very heavily armored, as you might guess. It's got lots and lots of armor. There's even... I like the spaced armor up front. It means heat or HESH shell goes in here and the fragments just kind of hit more heavy armor in metal. Very nice design. It's got big rail guns in the front. The UI back on. 293mm. What shell type are they rocking with? Access intakes. Heat shells, big ones. Heat shells seem to be quite popular with tanks. I should mention that sometime prior to this review, and one of the reasons I've been taking so long to get around to reviewing these two vehicles is that before I review a tank, I wanted to build one, just so I would kind of know what I was on about. And long story short, it has not been going well. Either I'm stupid, and I don't know how to build tanks properly, which, let's face it, is more than likely, or this game isn't actually yet optimized for building land vehicles, and a lot of work still needs to be done on it. I think it's kind of a combination of both. More ranting on that later. We're sticking with the Leviathan. So it's well armored and it's well armed. It's got heat railguns. It has... what is this? This is a 54mm frag gun. Yep, it is a very much a fragger. Not to be confused with Frogger, which is a very old video game. It has two little crams in the back, but roughly 1000mm, and it is pure high explosive. And let's see, what fuses is this thing packing? It's hard to tell because the approach to the paint scheme is go to 0 and actually let's do this. That's a lot better, except the thing, the thingy bobber, what's it? Here's the fusing box. Okay, so inertially fused HE crams. Okay, fair enough. It actually looks pretty boss, just in regular heavy armor colors. The barrels have yet to turn, but never mind. Barrels are slow. It's got these whopping big twin cram cannon up here. That is... what is it? This is pure high explosive, it looks like. Well, no, my mistake. It is explosive and hardening. Just a little bit of hardening each. What is this? It's got heavy barrels, motor-driven barrels, and barrels. Dun 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 dun. Oh, shakes. Yeah. So, yeah, this is how much it costs. I just remember that people have been asking me to show that. This is an expensive beast. It's over 400,000 material cost. So, yeah, this is quite the expensive tank, as you can probably tell from all the heavy armor. And also because it uses crams. Crams are unfortunately very expensive, and I'm not happy about that, to be perfectly honest. I love crams, I wish they were more viable. Another one of... it's a thing I've been ranting about a lot, to myself, mainly. Hello, there's the AI. Like, actually quite exposed. Once the turret goes, this goes. We're not getting to that yet. Where's the fuses? Want the fuse box. Come on, where's your fuses? Can't have a cram without fuses. Come on, where is it? I can't see it. Ugh! How embarrassing! Come on. Where's you? Where is you? Would it kill people just to put fuses in, like, easily accessible spots? I'm good. How much? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. 3% of the shell's taken up by fuses. So yeah, it must have at least 2 fuses per gun. So where's the fuse box? Ugh. Might have to fast forward through me searching for it. Is that it? No. Ah! This is so frustrating. Where was a fuse? I'm not even looking at the Tetris here. It's standard cram Tetris in here. Most of it. Okay, screw it. I'm just gonna assume it's penetration depth because it has hardening pellets. Okay, so that's what the thing's armed with, and it's big, impressive, well armed, well armored. Lots of heavy armor. That's okay. So that's the pros. There are a lot of cons with this. Starting with, you will notice that these little, well, not little, these frag turrets, they're surface turrets for the most part. Oh no, they go all the way down here. These things pop incredibly easily. Because they use very volatile ammunition, and this is just one layer of metal, and it's not. Well, no, it's not one layer of metal. It's 2 layers of metal. Yeah. I threw this thing against one of the larger vehicles in the Ashes of the Empire campaign, and this actually didn't do well because the opening salvo of fire just took off these frag turrets in no time flat. And these ones in the back followed not long afterwards because they're very large, they're very exposed, and even though these ones are made of heavy armor, the way explosions work in this game, it'll just, like, it blows the barrel off and then it kind of tunnels through here. So, I say again, like, I've learned this the hard way, and through, well, watching the internet, I guess. Oh yeah, it also has these little butt screen wipers on the back, go figure, I'm not sure what these are for, really. Anyway, so just make your turret caps small, and armoring them is secondary to just keeping them small and hard to hit. You always want the bulk of your turret below the... well, I guess this is the... inside the hull of whatever craft you're doing, unless you're doing something specific, or if the turret is very small. Right, so that's a problem right there. So, yeah, ironically for something... well, not ironically, this thing is vulnerable to crams itself simply because of how exposed stuff is on its upper hull. And the other problem with this is you might have noticed this thing is massive. So, where would you use it exactly? I guess, like, you could just make it for the sake of making it, why not? This thing has 28,000 volume, closer to 29,000, and costs an exorbitant amount of materials. You can't use this thing at all in the land campaign, so I'm not sure, like, unless you, I believe that there's a kind of a cheat that you can use to, like, basically break out of the 2,000 volume cap in Ashes of the Empire. But even then, this thing is so expensive, and actually surprisingly vulnerable to being washed in fire, that, like, arguably is like, where would this fit in, exactly? There's a reason why super heavy tanks weren't really used in real life much. It's because they're big, slow, expensive targets. And this kind of illustrates that, really. In fact, let us illustrate that by spawning in... let's see... pair of treadstones, that should do it. Where are they? They're actually behind it, that isn't ideal. Okay, that's an unfair test. Let's, try it again. Treadstone, treadstone. And combined cost of these things is still less than the Leviathan, and I will show you what I mean and how vulnerable this is. And while that's going on, I will talk further about what could be done better with this thing. Now, note how much resources it has. It has 18,000 materials. See how long that lasts. That's loud. You might have noticed it's missing quite a lot. That is because these guns, common mistake people make. I can't show you because I've spawned it on the enemy team. The accuracy settings are too low. The thing is set to 5 as opposed to anything else. And that pause right there. Yep. Yep, there goes one turret. That's an issue. Now, we'll just gotta pause it so I can get a word in. The thing's already 2,000 resources down and they've been fighting for seconds. And that's because of its repair rate, and also because if you go in the back here, where is it? It's out. Yeah, there is a monster steam engine here that just eats resources like you wouldn't believe. So this thing is a resource hog, like in more than one sense. It's very costly and it's also expensive to maintain. And one annoying thing that I've noticed while trying to build my tank is that in real life, tanks have armor in very specific places because they have weight restrictions and all that. They have things, basically they're designed to take fire from certain directions because that's more economical and it's just how you do it, like, well established. And if you try and follow real life rules in building armored vehicles, land vehicles in particular, you are going to experience misery because explosions don't work the way they do in real life. And anything landing here will just tear up through the underside. And just, yeah, the underside is not nearly as well armored as the rest of it. You see right here, that appears to be one layer of metal, and then it's actually a turret right here. Admittedly, that one's popped already, so it isn't a problem anymore. But yeah, so, and also, like, it doesn't matter how heavily armored the rest of your craft is, the wheels are so brittle on armored craft, and I've noticed that tanks tend to get immobilized really easily, especially my one, because From the Depths of the Universe hates me. But yeah, so poorly armored underside, and there is such a thing as overdoing heavy armor, because you'll notice that this layer here just got sheared away, and that's because it's up against like an equivalent material cost in firepower, and this just got torn off straight away. These railguns accomplished very little because, well, they were right in the line of fire, and, well, just heavy armor is only a good defense if you know where to place it, and you can't just slather a whole vehicle in it. Like, I've tried that with my own, like, tank experiment. It just does not work. You end up with something heavy, slow, that takes a long time to kill, but by the time, well, it's just all the vulnerable bits get blown off first. That's pretty much what happens. And yeah, so just gonna let this fight play out a little bit more until all the turrets have popped. And so I guess while you are set on making such a large, expensive vehicle, as much as I hate lambs, a lamb system would work with this tank very well. Simply because, like, those crams are just destroying it. Like, almost all its weapons are gone now. What is left is ineffective, and I believe... yes. I believe that the steam engines have been damaged already. I don't know where and how that happened. Yeah, I don't even know. So yeah, this is, Leviathan is not doing well, so. And another reason why I don't think From the Depths is yet at a stage where you can really do... And before anyone asked, I know that people have made functional land vehicles. I know that Lathrix has done an entire freaking campaign playthrough of Ashes of the Empire. And I know that if you persevere, you can overcome almost any obstacle in this game, but here's the thing. Like, when you say to me tank, I picture something that is an all-terrain vehicle. And this is not. So you see, we're getting into rough terrain right here. And just in being spawned in, it's already taken damage because it's bounced off the ground. And if we go here, if we replace this complex controller with something better, I might be making a mistake here. There might be a reason why that's a complex controller as opposed to anything else. But I just want this tank to go forward. And you will notice it is not moving at all. And it is not moving, and you can see the wheels are spinning, but right here you can see metal's touching the ground, it's not going anywhere. So this is a problem not specifically with this vehicle. It can't handle terrain this rough, and this is not as rough as terrain gets. Like right here you can see it's old, it's rather hard to make. I don't know. I don't know how hard it actually is to make a tank which is properly all-terrain in this game. But I'm assuming it's difficult because, honestly, once you've slapped wheels all over the bottom, what can you do exactly? Like, I'm sure people will let us know in the comments about how to actually make a decent vehicle, and just a decent vehicle that goes over rough terrain well, because honestly, that's all I want. Blow my tanks to pieces, but please, just let me make an all-terrain vehicle. So, I'm just gonna restart the designer quickly. We are going to move on to the second... now, so to sum up the Leviathan, it's an ambitious build, but I don't really see where it would be useful in the game, because the land campaign prohibits such large vehicles, and even then, I don't think it's ultimately worth its resource cost. I would go with something smaller, or failing that, I would change up like how the weapons are placed on it, and I would stick in a LAM system, to be perfectly honest with you, because I believe you've got the space for the power for it, and also like greatly increase the material cost and maybe try and decrease the cost of running the thing. So that is the Leviathan, and we're gonna move on to the Unkures. And this thing is tiny and adorable. It's like, and it's asymmetric all the way, and this is really cool. I like this quite a lot because it's very good looking. It actually looks like a tank, and it feels like a tank as well. This is admittedly much larger. This is still much larger than any real-life tank gun. 179 millimeters, unless I'm wrong. And a little 60mm main gun in here. It's got a little machine gun on top, a little autocannon. And it's got, I believe, yeah, it's got another one right here. And any more? Nope, that's it. And it's got like little asymmetric designs here and there. Little engine exhaust right there. It's got lots of ERA, so yeah, I like the way this looks. Like, it was sold to me as like by Warlock Hero 234. It's like, as you know, it's got good camo. I'm not entirely sure why the gun is positioned like that. I think that is... yeah, let's have a look at this quickly. That is... idle azimuth and idle elevation. So that's deliberate. The gun is meant to point that way. And I think that's because, like, when they're at rest, that's how tank machine guns look. Like, you just Google, like tank pictures, you'll see tanks with, like, machine guns pointing up, because that's the safe position. And yeah, this interesting design. Asymmetrically armored as well. It's got heavy armor on this side, but not on this side. Looks good. And this thing is armed with frag. So both these guns in the turret here, I checked earlier, they are frag guns. And pretty decent ones actually. This is a good starting craft for the Ashes of the Empire, because it's very cheap. 8,042 material cost. And this thing, I tested earlier against a pair of, what was it? It was Sidewinders, and it took on 2 of them with absolutely no problem. It does tend to shoot itself slightly though, which is less good. And you'll see this top gun on here, I think it's stuck, which is less than ideal. So it is small, it's cheap, it's good looking, it's a good starter craft. Losing blocks fast, but honestly that's because of ERA. I hate using ERA. It's just really crap. It's just not tough enough. And it's like, it's over-specialized, so I don't like it. But I've found that there are vehicles in Ashes of the Empire that do make it work. And right here you'll see one of the problems with From the Depths and the way physics works with land vehicles. Explosions have so much force now that pretty much the split second any land vehicle gets hit, and I mean even big heavy ones that are made of metal or heavy armor, they stop moving. And that is so aggravating for me. Just the Sidewinder admittedly is essentially made of cardboard and straws, but you'll see just as soon as it loses a wheel or two, that's it, it's stopped moving. And I think, yeah, is its engine intact? I don't think so, actually. This one... And it's because of how, I don't know, the game handles the physical interaction between the wheels and the ground. Okay, you can stop attacking. It's not optimized yet, and probably won't be for a while. But enough of that rant. You'll notice that this thing has lost all its wheels, and like, I just hate, as just a personal... I'm whining an awful lot in this review, I should be focused. I guess, like, at the very least, having built that tank means I'm sympathetic with the problems of building these things, because it's actually pretty hard. Or I am missing something obvious. Either or. Wait, what? This is... It has windows in front of its treads. You've gotta love the style of that. But in any case, so yeah, wheels are brittle, I hate them. So what are the cons of this thing? Because, like, this thing's nice. It's nice and small, easy. It's got 3 pros, 3 cons. One of the cons is this jammed little autocannon up there, because I'm pretty sure this thing never aimed right. In fact, let's do some science here. Let us do some 0, 0, 0. There we go. Idle elevation. 0. Okay, now we've done that. Let's see if it fires. See, this thing, yeah, this thing is only, it's less than 600 blocks. You gotta love that. Volume less than 1,000. Let's spawn in another Sidewinder and see if the gun actually fires. Hallelujah! It is firing in the right direction. Whoa, okay! And it's AI dead. Not sure. I don't think what I just did made a hell of a lot of difference, but maybe it did, who knows? But in any case, so jammed autocannon is one problem. And this is a light tank, to be fair, but it is quite brittle. You'll notice in its fight, bits tend to fall off it. So, well, most of the bits tend to be just the more delicate parts. It's the ERA and the wheels and these window blocks and all that kind of stuff. But you'll notice in here, this is one layer of wood and then it's straight into vital components. So if an explosive shell hits this, that's pretty much game over, especially if it hits here. That's because it leads straight to the turret. That's an issue. Thank you, Rambot. But, okay, so it is a bit frail, but then again, it's a light tank, that's okay. And you might have noticed that this thing is just dishing out the hurt with frag. It's vulnerable to frag itself. So, if possible, I would recommend jamming just a light shield or 2 on here. Like, don't really think it makes too much of a difference. Yeah, wait a minute, wait a minute. What's, does it have, okay, it does use ammunition process, so it might not have the power spare, but I would stick just, I don't know, really, just weak shields just on it somewhere, because I think that will make a big difference to its survivability. But apart from that, that's all I have to say about it. I like this tank. Like, I'm probably gonna like be inspecting this and like copying bits off it. like, for use in my own tanky escapades. But yeah, so final thoughts of the Unkures is positive. Like, I like its style. I like what it's trying to be. So there you go. The Leviathan is a big, expensive thing, and the Unkures is a adorable little tank. And of course, this review wouldn't be over if we couldn't have the two of them fight. So we're gonna spawn in. Okay, no. We're gonna spawn in for the Steel Empire a bunch of Unkures. I don't think we should go mad. You think 6 of them could handle a Leviathan? I think so. Let's see what happens. How many is that? That's 4, 5, and 6. All spread out nicely. I'm gonna spawn the Leviathan all the way over here. Oh no! There's a rise in the terrain. Leviathan might not make it. Just playing. Just playing Benzo 7. And we'll spawn you in on the Onyx Watch. Okay. So, leaving you with that. Thank you all so much for watching. I think the Unkures just kind of did cartwheels over there. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you next time in From the Depths and another subscriber review. Send more tanks, I guess. Farewell. Yeah, like, what? The tiny tanks are losing? Who would have thought? See ya.